The harmattan winds whispered through the tall grasses as 18-year-old Tooni made her way to the Ogun River. As she neared the river bank, she saw a man and a woman hurriedly digging up yams from a nearby farm. Their movements were quick and desperate, and as Tooni watched, a knot of unease tightened in her stomach. Suddenly, the heavy thud of approaching footsteps broke the silence. Fear jolted through her. If the farmer caught them, the consequences would be severe. Abandoning her hiding spot, Tony stepped out, and with a fine voice she said, "You, stop what you're doing and leave this place immediately. The owners will be here soon and they will not be kind." The couple froze, their eyes wide with panic. Before they could speak, the farmer, accompanied by two men carrying machetes, emerged from the trees. "Thieves! I knew someone was stealing from my farm." The farmer roared, his face contorted with anger. "Please, they were just leaving." Tony interjected quickly. "They didn't take much." She gestured frantically towards the dense bush behind her. "Quickly hide there," she urged the couple. Hesitantly, they scrambled into the undergrowth as the farmer and his sons washed past Tony, their attention fixed on the direction she had indicated. Tony held her breath until the sounds of their angry shouts faded into the distance. She then turned towards the trembling couple. "You can come out now, they are gone." They dusted themselves off and came out of hiding. "Thank you, young lady," the man said, his voice thick with emotion. "You saved us." "Why would you steal?" Tony asked. "Don't you know the trouble you could have caused?" The woman spoke with her voice soft with shame. "We are travelers and we're on our way to Ibadan. We ran out of food days ago. We saw the yams near the river and we were desperate. We didn't realize it was someone's farm." "We are truly sorry," the man added. "We would never intentionally harm anyone." "Thank you again," the woman said. "Please, is there anything we can do to repay your kindness? Anything at all?" But Tony shook her head. "I don't want anything. But please, just don't steal again." They insisted to pay her for her good deeds. When Tony did not budge, the man reached into a small pouch, tied to his waist, and pulled out a single smooth cowrie shell. "Please take this, it is all we have, but accept it as a token of our sincere thanks." He pressed it into Tony's hand. Before she could protest further, they thanked her again and hurried away. But as soon as Tony opened her palm to check the cowrie, she couldn't find it in her palm any longer. At the same time, she felt strange. She then discovered that the cowrie must have disappeared into her body. That evening, the air was cool and calm as Tony returned home. Her mother, Iyabola, sat on a low stool under the mango tree in their compound, the flickering light of a kerosene lamp casting long shadows. "Tony, are you back? What took you so long?" Iyabola asked with concern written all over her face as Tony poured the water into a large empty drum. "I'm sorry, Mama. I was delayed by a lost couple who needed directions," Tony replied with a weak smile. As she moved closer to her mother, the familiar sound of her mother's unspoken thoughts filled her ears. "I hope this girl has not started moving around with all these small boys in the village. I hope she doesn't disappoint me and become a single mother. Oh, Lord, please help me keep and protect her." Tony, mistaking her mother's silent anxieties for spoken words, responded, "Haba, Mama, I won't disappoint you. I've always told you about my dreams of becoming a medical doctor, and I'm working tirelessly to achieve it. Why are you worried?" Iabola's eyes widened in surprise. "What are you talking about, Tony? I didn't say anything." But Mama, you were just talking about boys and single motherhood." Tony stammered, confused by her mother's denial. Iyabola stared at her daughter with a mixture of disbelief and unease. "Tony, are you feeling alright? I haven't said a word about that." Tony, equally surprised, tried to explain. "But I heard you, Mama. You were thinking it." Iyabola shook her head slowly, unable to comprehend what her daughter was saying. "You must be tired, my dear. Just go inside and rest." Tony, sensing her mother's disbelief, did not press further. "Good night, Mama," she said softly. Alone in the dim light of her own lamp, Tony sat on a mat thinking about what happened to her after meeting the strange couple. The encounter at the river, the strange gift from the travelers, and now her mother's reaction. It was all so perplexing. What was happening to her? How could she suddenly hear the silent whispers of people's minds? As she lay down, her elder sister Bola, who slept on a mat beside her, shifted restlessly, and then Tony heard it, clear as a bell in the quiet of the night. I think I'll just run away with Kumi by this weekend since my parents don't want me to get married to him. I still wonder why they have refused to give us their blessings. I'm just fed up with everything. Tony could not believe that her sister would ever think of running away. She never seemed like the kind of person to take such a decision. The next morning, Tony walked towards the main road for her joint admissions and matriculation board preparatory lessons. As she approached the junction, she saw Kumi, her sister Bola's boyfriend. Good morning, brother Kumi. Tony greeted him politely. Good morning, Tony. Is Bola at home? He asked. Yes, she is, Tony replied. Kumi nodded and hurried off in the direction of their house. But as he walked away, Tony's strange ability fled and she heard his thoughts with chilling clarity. Let me go and see the real love of my life, Tokwe. Before going to see this low-life Bola who thinks I will elope with her. I'm only with her because she wants to give me all her savings. Once I get enough money from her by this weekend, I will elope with my queen. Tony stopped dead in her tracks, the revelation hitting her like a physical blow. It was very surprising to her that Kume did not love Bola. He's very caring towards her and has not given anyone to suspect that he doesn't love her. So it's obvious that she was just using her. The thought of her sister's heartbreak was unbearable to her. A wave of protectiveness washed over her. She knew what she had to do. She just had to tell Bola the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Tony's heart pounded in her chest as she turned back towards home, forgetting about her jam lesson for that moment. When she got home, she found Bola sitting outside, meticulously braiding her long hair. Sister Bola, Tony began, her voice trembling slightly. Bola looked up, smiling broadly at Tony. Ah, Tony, you're back so soon. Did they cancel lessons? Tony sat beside her sister, taking a deep breath. No, the lessons are still on, but there is something you need to know about Brokumi. Bola's smile disappeared. What is it? Tony hesitated, searching for the right words. I saw him this morning. He asked if you were home, and as he walked away, I heard his thoughts. Bola's brow furrowed with confusion. You heard his thoughts? What do you mean, Tony? Tony knew this could sound unbelievable, but she had to be honest. I met a couple yesterday stealing in a farm. I saved them and in return, they gifted me with the ability to hear people's thoughts. I can hear what people are thinking. I know it's strange, but it's true. Bola stared at her, her expression a mixture of disbelief and concern. Tony, are you alright? I am, Tony insisted. And I heard coming thinking that he was going to see his real love, Tokwe, before coming to see you. He said he's only with you for your money and plans to elope with another woman this weekend once he has collected all your savings. The color drained from Bola's face. Her hands, which had been busy, now lay still in her lap. That, that can't be true, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Kumi loves me. I wish it weren't true, sister, Tony said softly, reaching out to hold her hand. But I heard it so clearly. He doesn't love you, Bola. He has been lying to you. Tears welled up in Bola's eyes and she pulled her hand away, standing up happily. I don't believe you. You must have misunderstood something. She turned and ran into their hut, leaving Tony sitting alone, her heart aching for her sister's pain. Despite Bola's initial denial, Tony's voice planted a seed of doubt. Over the next few days, Bola became withdrawn and distant. Tony could hear her sister's inner turmoil, the conflict between her love to Kumi, and the unsettling possibility that Tony was telling the truth. Eventually, Bola confronted Kumi, and his lies crumbled under her persistent questioning. The truth, as painful as it was, finally surfaced. Months passed, and Tony began to feel isolated and burdened by her unusual ability. The constant influx of other people's unfiltered thoughts was overwhelming for her. One day, while shopping at the market, she saw two men standing by the roadside. They looked like they were looking for someone, but when she walked past them, she heard their thoughts loud and clear. The first man's thought was the craziest to Tony. Will I ever be rich in this life like this? I don't know where to get the blood of seven virgins, as this Baba suggested. In this Lagos, that even the smallest girl you think is innocent already has a boyfriend. What do I do? I don't want to die in poverty. God, please, oh. The other man stood there thinking about his wife. This woman I call my wife does not know that she's about to lose her first son. There is nothing I can do now. My society will take my life if I don't allow them to take my son. What will I do now? Me, I can't die, oh. She can always have another son. Everything will be over in 7 days. I just have to make sure he will be at home for the entire 7 days or I'll be in big trouble. That's not a problem anyways. Tony hid closely as she watched the wife of the second man brought her goods to the car boot. Her husband was helping her arrange the items in the boot when Tony approached her. She told her that her son's life was in danger and asked her to keep her son in a church for 7 days or see a powerful man of God if she doesn't want to lose her son. Tony also told the woman that her husband is a ritualist who is into a dark secret cult that gave him wealth and requires him to renew his pledge with his blood. Tony ran off into the market as soon as she saw the man closing the booth. For the other man, she could not do much but pray that it doesn't become successful in his search for virgin girls. Cold chill ran through Tony's spine as she walked around the market. As she heard different strange thoughts from people in the market, she tried to close her ears but it did not work. She heard every conversation loud and clear. However, Tony was relieved when she was able to help people who genuinely need help rather than being exploited. She heard their thoughts and was glad to help. As she walked back home, she was happy that at least she could do some good with her gift of hearing people's thoughts. Months passed and Tony became well known around the village as being able to see the future. Many people thought she was a prophet. While some people respected and adored her, she made a lot of enemies as many prophets and men of God became jealous of her gifts. She began to fear for her life and longed for a place where she could start afresh, away from the familiar yet now complicated dynamics of her village. She decided that she would keep her gift of hearing to herself if she had the opportunity to leave her village. So when her JAMB results came out and she found out she had secured admission to study medicine at the University of Lagos, it was a dream come true and an opportunity for a new beginning. With her parents' blessings, Tony packed her bags and left for the bustling city. Schooling in Lagos was not an easy feat for Tony. She met other students, bright and ambitious like herself, and quickly became friends with two girls, Chidima and Ngozi. They laughed together, studied together, and shared their dreams. For a while, Tony felt a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced before. However, her ability continued to be both a gift and a curse. Beneath their friendly smiles and encouraging words, Tony often heard their true thoughts. Why is she always so serious? I wish she wouldn't talk so much in class. Her fashion sense is so local. Why does she think she's better than every other person? The constant contrast between the spoken words and inner thoughts left Tony feeling increasingly lonely and distrustful. She began to withdraw from her friends and gradually unfriended them. But whenever she tries to make new friends, their thoughts about her always discourage her. So she became a loner and avoided being close to anyone. However, when she met James, everything changed. He was charming and brilliant, and he was a final year law student. Unlike other friends she has met in the past, he seemed genuinely interested in her aspirations and listened attentively when she spoke. For the first time since her ability manifested, Tony dared to believe that someone saw and appreciated her for who she really was, inside and out. His thoughts, unlike those of her friends, seemed to echo his kind words. She heard words like, "She is so intelligent and driven. I admire her passion. I could spend hours just listening to her." And it melted her heart and increased her love for James. Their relationship blossomed, and Tony found herself falling deeply in love. The next year, James proposed to her and eventually told her he wanted her to meet his family. Tony felt a mixture of excitement and a touch of nervousness as he took her to a beautiful house in the Lagos suburb. He introduced her to his mother, Madam Agnes, a poised and elegant woman, and his niece, a bright-eyed girl named Simi. Even though Madam Agnes welcomed Tony warmly, she could read her mind. She is not sophisticated enough for my James. He deserves someone from a better background. And the Yoruba accent is so provincial. Ah, why does she dress this way? Look at her. Why is she eating this way? The words echoed clearly in Tony's ears. Then, as Simi chattered about her school that day, a thought flashed through her young mind that made Tony's blood run cold. I pray that daddy does not lose this woman, no. And I'm happy that at least I'll have someone to share things with. She seemed nice. I like her already. Tony's gaze snapped to James, her heart plummeting. Did Simi just call you daddy? She asked, pretending to hear Simi speak. James chuckled nervously. Oh, Simi sometimes calls me that. Her father is not really in the picture. But Tony had read his mind, revealing James' fear of being caught lying to her. I hope she doesn't find out Simi is my daughter. Oh. I'll have to quickly get married to her. I don't want to lose her like other girls I've brought home. The pieces clicked into place with brutal clarity. Simi was not his niece. She was his daughter, a secret he had carefully guarded. The man Tony thought loved her had built their relationship on a foundation of lies. The weight of their unspoken judgment and James' deception crashed down on Tooni. Her ability, the strange gift she had once tried to understand, had once again revealed a painful truth. Standing in that elegant living room, surrounded by smiles that marked disapproval and a lie that shattered her dreams, Tooni felt a profound sense of disillusionment. She ran out of the house and asked James not to call her ever again. First, she doesn't want to deal with a mother-in-law who always sees her as not being worthy of her son. And second, she can't get married to a man who built their relationship foundation on lies. 5 years later, Tony had graduated from the university and was working in a big hospital in Lagos. There, she rekindled her friendship with Amara, her best friend in first year at the university, and through her, she met Obi. She thought she had finally found the genuine love she had longed for. Obi was kind, supportive, and seemed to truly care and love her. They got married, but 5 years later, they could not have a child after trying many times. One evening, Tony sat beside Obi when a phone call came in. He picked up his call, and the first thing that came to his mind was, why is Amara calling me at home? I thought I've warned her not to call me when I'm home. Does this lady want to destroy my marriage? Tony's heart shattered and her happiness crumbled into dust. She kept a straight face and pretended like everything was fine. Again, someone had betrayed her, but it hurt her that it was a man she loved so much. Obi had betrayed her, but not just with anyone, but with Amara, her best friend. But the most painful part was Amara was pregnant with his child. The pain was a physical thing. She couldn't believe that the two most important people in her life had betrayed her. Days later, without saying a word to Obi, and without looking back at the life they had built together, Tony packed a small bag. She had given it a long thought and came to an illogical conclusion. She had to find the couple who gave her these gifts that had shattered her heart and made her lose some wonderful friendships. Perhaps they held an answer or have a way to undo this curse that has shadowed her life. She left Lagos and off she went to her village. She asked around as she described the traveling couple she had encountered by the Ogun River so many years ago. The villagers remembered the incidents, the farmer's anger and the young girl who had intervened, but the couple, they were only strangers passing through. No one knew where they had come from or where they had gone. Tony felt a wave of despair wash over her. Had the journey been in vain? Was she destined to carry this burden? This unwanted window into the minds of others forever? Tony is in a dilemma. She could not keep friendships or even stay in a marriage. The gifts she thought was a blessing had become a curse to her, and she doesn't know what to do now. What will she do? Should Tony do everything to find the couple and make them undo the curse? Or see it as a blessing and keep it for her to find out the hidden thoughts of people around her? At least it will save her a lot of heartaches. What do you think? Please let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.